Evening, everybody. How we doing? How we doing? So, what the heck happened today? Bit of a weird day. Another day where Trump moves the freaking market, bro. um, I took 3 trades, 3 losses. So, losing day, but had good risk management. Didn't tilt. Um, I think one of the things that helped me not tilt today was the fact that the third trade was there was quite a bit of time for me to kind of like take a step back and see like, okay, what's going on here, right? Like, are we able to take a continuation short, or should we still look for a reversal, right? Because I tried 2 longs, right, and then a short. So off open, we just dipped lower, right? And immediately, what I saw here was low volume node. This is this pretty much sums up my entry. If you know anything about order flow, you know what I'm looking at here. Um, Low volume node off open. I was looking actually to get short of this, but then I saw like buyers were still present here and just continued to push higher. And then I kind of saw like this right here. They weren't quite, sellers weren't that aggressive here. So I'm like, okay, let's wait. And I saw like buyers continued to push through. We actually got above the, excuse me, the low volume node, right? So this is like the first, I think like 15 minutes of price action, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and I think my entry was somewhere around here. So we'll actually go ahead and find it really quick if I can. Might have to pull up the video actually really quick over here. Cool. So yeah, my entry, yeah, was in the formation of that candle. So this was where I entered, and I'll show you here my execution in just a second. But I want to go through my thought process for this trade, okay? And the 2 longs mostly. So previous day's range stat was bullish, right? True day open was traded through in London, so I figured it would be irrelevant. If you did, it did kind of hold some relevance. So if we mark it out, like true day open is right here, so it is above us, right? I feel like it's something that I might do more often. Even if it gets traded through in London, I'll keep it on my chart. Um, but yeah, it did get traded through in London in the 3 a.m. mark. So yeah, bit unfortunate there, because you'll see how this holds some relevance. But yeah, previous day's range stat was bullish. Trade open was above us, so that was actually in our favor. I just didn't know it at the time, and I'll show why it actually holds some relevance here in a second. Um, Price has been very close to all-time highs, so to me it was just like clear bullish bias due to all-time high context. You don't want to try to catch the top. When we're so close to all-time highs, it's likely that we'll continue making new all-time highs, but we've tried to make new all-time highs for quite some time now and continue to fail. Like this all-time high resistance zone and the Trump suite has kept us from making new all-time highs. Like, look here, right? This Asia session, we were like 20 points away. Yeah, like 26 points away from new all-time highs or something like that. So pretty close. And the fact that we didn't make all-time highs there was like, okay. So I also noted that we're bouncing between two resistance, a resistance and a support zone, right? So we're bouncing between this support zone, which is a low volume and a 1 hour for value gap, and this resistance zone, right? So we're kind of in range bound conditions, in my opinion. But longs were clear in my eyes. Yeah, and then I also noted for price to make new all-time high, we'd have to break the current week's value area high. So value area high was like somewhere up here. If we back up, let's say to Sunday open, all the way back here. yeah. So we'd have to break through London High, New York High, Precinct High. Like we have to break through a lot of things to make new all-time highs. So yeah, I was aware of that, right? Um, but still, I like the bias, and yeah, we retested previous week's high. I don't know if I mentioned. I think it was in my last video that I wanted to keep this on my chart in case we retested it as a break and retest of previous week's high. This was a clear retest, right? Um, I could have gone in this here if I was on time for the charts. I did wake up a bit late today, so I was a bit late to the charts. Because if I saw this, I could have probably taken it off of the failed selling we saw here. Um, like this to me looks pretty solid. Like failed selling, volume dying out. Our CVD, it's like we have this similar amount of sellers, and we're not heading lower. So like maybe you get in here, try to rebalance that low volume node, and just kind of you could aim for true day, right? Here you got an entry like down here, maybe stop at the wick, very tight stop. You could have gone for what, like maybe a 15-point stop, right? And just target true day. Just targeting true day. That's a 7R. And I'm pretty sure this hits, but that's not what I took. I saw the low volume node. I'm like, cool. I want to wait and see what happens with this. And then, yeah, we retested previous week's high, and we swept this previous day's low, which is also a 4-hour intermediate low, which is just a low inside of a rally gap. Okay, so high time frame confluences are in alignment, and we were holding like we tried to get below the value area low and immediately recovered. Holding the lower VWAP band. It looked like we broke the overnight VWAP and got above it. Above New York VWAP, so our VWAPs are in alignment. Something that you gotta note when your value area is a tight range, like in this case, like our value area, it did shift lower as we opened. But something you gotta notice, if we're gonna break the value area high, you want to see a lot of strength through it. You don't want to see it get wicked, because then it most likely gonna go back to the point of control, maybe even go back to the value area low. Okay, so that's something that I noted, kind of like a lesson to learn, right, from today. And I'll go over how I could have done better with that here in just a second. But anyways, I was seeing on Bookmap that we disrespected this low volume node, put in a low here on the order flow, and then try to put another low in. If you see, actually, the CVD, this is why I have it marked out like this. The CVD divergence, right? We put in a lower low on the CVD, and then on the order flow, we actually put in a higher low. So I got in somewhere around here. You see 253.25. I waited for buyers to step in. There was slight buyer, like steady buy volume coming in. Our CVD turning positive. So I'm like, cool, this looks good for a long. So that's what I looked for. 253.25. I think that's what my entry was. And if we look at my execution, okay, so my target was London High. My stop loss was the 5-minute candle low. So it was this. Pretty solid stop loss size in my opinion. 30-point stop off of a range that's what, 90 points. I mean, maybe you want to go for a bigger stop loss size, but I was cool with that. So yeah, I was going for a 281R. So I entered in the formation of this candle, and we get this candle. It was looking good, but two things to note here. Actually, I think it's the next one. No, we barely get to that trade open. We actually didn't tap it. I thought we did, but I guess we didn't. But see how we failed to break both the upper VWAP band and the value area high. We just kind of wicked those, and then once I saw this, I'm like, okay, it looks good, but we might retest this, and that's what I wanted to see. And after this, I just didn't get a chance to trail, but but there was an opportunity to close it out early. This ended up stopping me out for my full position, but I actually want to show you the executions themselves. So yeah, so it was looking strong at first. Um, at a certain point, it was looking really good. We were trying, like, we were getting above the value area high in the upper view up end, and then we just didn't, which is fine, right? And I'm like, at this point, I'm like, okay, we might get a retest. And then I saw this, I'm like, that's the retest. And then we get this reaction. Once this candle's printing, I could have trailed to this right here. Kind of like, see that base that formed? That's my sign to trail. Because if we don't break here, this is just a retest to head lower. That's in hindsight, right? I'm learning from my mistakes in this case. Because you want to see a strong reaction. You want to, if buyers are steadily coming in, you want to see aggressive buying pushing through here to head to that London high, right? If this was a true liquidity sweep for a reversal, it was a strong V shape. I actually got an inversion on the 5 minute, and I actually wanted to show you another thing on the 15 minute. Initially, right, we put in this massive wick. That's another thing. Like, when I first saw the low volume node put in, I'm like, cool, what are we gonna do? And then I looked at the 15 minute and I saw we were putting in a wick. I'm like, all right, so this probably is just a liquidity sweep, and then we're gonna head higher. So that's what made me really like the idea, was the 15 minute wick. So it just looks strong overall in my eyes, and then it just didn't. So anyways, that's pretty much it with this long. And then after this got stopped out, I was looking at kind of what we were gonna do. Like, I'm pretty sure the next long was, yeah, it was off of an area of aggressive buying, 786 of New York, and the lower view up band. See how we're retesting the lower view up band here. If you put in a fib just for the New York range, it might have been the 618, not the 786, but we'll put this in for here to kind of get an idea. I think, yeah, no, we did wick the 786, and I'll actually show you the execution here, because this video includes both longs, so I don't get a chance to trail. I got a lot of opportunities to close out and profit, and I just didn't. Like, this candle was another opportunity for me to do it. I didn't. And then, yeah, I never get another opportunity there. And then this happened. It was a pretty quick move. Like, it went from, I think I can actually show you here in a second. Yeah, it's a pretty quick move. We'll see if we can watch it play out. But on TradingView, it looked very, very quick. It was also the opening of a new 15-minute candle. We were wicking that 786 level. Oh. And then this quickly turned around. And I think that's when I entered, when it turned around pretty quickly. And I'll show you what this looked like in the order flow here in a second. But trying to see, waiting for a reaction, and that's, yeah, there's my entry. Have my stop loss at that wick, and it was looking good for a while. And then here's another key point in time, which I'll show you here in a second. But this, to me, in the order flow, if you look at this screenshot, we saw a lot of failed selling. Like, our CVD spiked lower, and this to me was trapped sellers, right? And I saw like it turn around, and once I saw aggressive buyers step in, this is where my entry was. So my entry, I'm trying to think where it was exactly. I know my stop loss was all the way down here, but my entry was 221.25, so 21.25. Similar size stop, right? We'll put it a bit lower so it shows that I was actually in profit. not just immediately stopped out, but the next candle immediately stopping out. And I want to show you the executions. So it was looking good here, and this is another point in time where I should have just closed my position or even trailed to break even. So you see that first candle print strong. I could have trailed to the body because you want to see it continue higher immediately. You want to see a strong reaction. You don't want to see buyers kind of stall out and take their time. You want to see strong reaction. And then this candle, I didn't get an opportunity to trail. Like, it was just that first candle. And the reason why I'm saying that is, if you notice, if you zoom in here, right, we broke below the overnight VWAP, held below it, and then we broke New York VWAP, and we actually retested it here. This was a retest where you could have entered shorts, actually. But yeah, at this point, our um, IB high looked like it was gonna get set second, so I liked the idea. But then at this point, you might be thinking, okay, it might be getting set. The low might be getting set second, so you might want to target that. So I got stopped out, kind of waited out a little bit, and I wanted to keep this low volume under here, which I'll show you here in a second why I had it there. But yeah, we get this dump, so we rip through the 45-minute IB low, right, which was this right here. And then I'm like, cool, what's below us? We have 1 hour low here, Monday's low here, and then we had, I think, this New York low, which ended up getting taken off of the IB low break on the 45-minute. So I'm like, cool, I'm gonna just mark out this low and then keep Monday's low there. So we have some targets to the downside in case we want to see that. And it kind of took me a while. I'm like, shoot, I mean, longs don't look good anymore, right? Because you're trying to fight this bearish short-term trend. And then we break the 1 hour IB low. We actually get a kind of close below IB low. At this point, you could be like, okay, let's look at our IB low levels, right? Our fib extensions for the IB, our lower end extensions. You want to look at those. Since we broke the IB low, the 1 hour, right? And yeah, we're hitting some extensions. Our value are shifting lower. Cool. We don't hit our draw on liquidity, which is this 1 hour low. Pretty significant swing low here. Ooh, I didn't mean to do that. Cool. Also, the S&T we had with previous day's low. So NQ took it first. ES didn't. Now ES has swiped through, broken through it. So not really a sweep, just breaking through that key level. So you're like, cool, what can we do here? As this was retracing, I saw there was a low volume node, and I'll show you what that looked like. We created a new one when we displaced through the IB low, and didn't want it to just be a low volume area, but this is what I was seeing. You can kind of see in the volume profile here, this right here, pretty clear low volume node. On Bookmap, it looked like a clear low volume node here. You can kind of see it's the 175, 160 area, 176, 160. That's pretty much the area that I was looking at. So yeah, that was the low volume node, and you can even align it with the fair value gap, but I wanted to be more specific and saw, okay, cool, what do we have here? If we just look at the low that we put in, right? If we look at the low that we put in and just look at our fib levels, right? Look at our fib levels for the session, and we'll exclude the point, the 0 and the 1, so we just look at our fib levels for the New York range. This low volume node aligns with the IB low, which you could consider that as a break and retest. The 0.5 and 0.5618 area, and potentially New York VWAP. It's pretty close if you see it there. It's kind of hard for it to stand out, but yeah, you can kind of see it right here. Cool. So, at this point, we reached this low volume node, and this is where I made my mistake. Because this was a great freaking trade. I entered preemptively off of the low volume node, expecting it to hold. I can't remember exactly what my execution was, so I'll just look at it really quick. Here's the video. We get our retrace. Yeah, so we can probably predict what's gonna happen based on looking at this chart, but 153.75 was my entry. Not the best entry. 153.75, and then 187 I think was my stop loss. Yeah. So 187 flat was my stop loss. Once again, I had 3 micros on it, and then I was targeting this 1 hour low, which is 0.38. So 0.38, there's our target, and the problem with this is we didn't quite get bearish momentum. Like, I didn't wait for bearish momentum of my entry. I basically looked for any seller in the low volume node. Once I saw sellers come in at the low volume node, even if it was little, I took that. So yeah, that was pretty much my confirmation. Enter when I saw sellers on bookmap inside low volume node. That was pretty much it, and I expected the low volume node to hold. And I thought about it potentially tapping New York VWAP, but I didn't give myself enough room to breathe, because if I thought about potentially putting my stop up here, that would have worked just fine if I did that, because see the retest that we get here, I don't get wicked out, and then we get this candle, then I could have added to my position or something, but unfortunately that's not what happened. I end up getting wicked out, and then this just rips to TP. So the mistake here was not waiting for sellers to actually step in. If you waited for just a 5-minute candle close, which is usually not something that I like to do, I used to, but at times you'll miss a great entry just waiting on the candle close. But yeah, like it depends on the day, and it's kind of hard to gauge, like, should I wait for a candle close on this, yes or no. This was one of those scenarios where you should have waited. Or you just wait for clear, like, retest of VWAP. Like, just be very aware that your VWAP is very close, and we could easily respect that. Even if we get a bit past the low volume node, you could still see sellers show their hand here, which is what ended up happening. So if you waited for the candle close, you could have caught a 3.86 R. I didn't. I ended up getting stopped out, unfortunately. So yeah, that's pretty much it with the trades that I took. The trades that I took today. That short idea was great. Damn near perfect. Just poor execution, poor stop loss placement. So my entry was not the best, and my stop loss placement could have been a bit better. I feel like it was influenced by a bit of greed. Could have been more conservative with my stop loss placement. Been like, you know what, I'll add to my position as it looks good. So maybe like limit 1 micro in the low volume node and put your stop loss all the way up here, right? Or limit 2 micros, and then if it looks good, you add to your position and you adjust, right? Then you go for 3 micros, and that would have been just fine. But that's not what I did. I ended up entering shorts, and my stop loss placement was not great. But yeah, if you waited for the VWAP retest, this was a great trade. Like, this was probably the ideal trade of the day. These 2 trades up here, like the first one, great trade. Should have just been more aggressive with trailing, right? That's all I can say. And then the second one should have gone break even once we reached VWAP, expecting it to break with strength. So tiny little mistakes cost me 3 stop losses today, and that's all good because I set my daily loss limit to 650. I risk usually 200 per trade, and I put in this extra 50 for a bit of wiggle room in case I end up risking like 210, 215, 220. Like if it's a bit more than 200, I'm still cool with losing that because it's not that significant. Um, so it allows for a bit of wiggle room with position sizing because, like in this case, that's not 3 micros, that's 3.15 micros for a $200 loss. So technically, you'll be losing a bit less than 200, and it's fine, right? Um, Sometimes it'll be a bit less, sometimes it'll be a bit more. So yeah, that pretty much sums up today's trade recap. 3 losses, um, all good trades in my opinion. Just could have had better management. Um, and the last one, so the first two needed better management, and the first two needed better management, and the last one needed a better execution and a better stop loss placement. That's all it was. Because at the end of the day, my idea was right. We retested that IB low, right? Barely got back inside the IB, and immediately got back below it. So even if you just trading in that kind of I guess methodology, like, are we able to get back inside the IB? Yes or no? We do for a bit, and then get right back outside of it. We respect the low volume node, respect the point 0.5, respect VWAP. Like it's a multiple, but multiple confluences in your favor. Um, so yeah, bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. We will learn from this. I think the trades that I was seeing were properly analyzed, and I did a good job in analyzing it. I did a good job executing. There's just a few things that could have been better. Trade management, and then the last one, just better execution, better stop loss placement. It is what it is. Just another losing day. Cause of doing business, and yeah. Hopefully, I'll catch y'all tomorrow with a banger trade. And yeah, right now we're in drawdown, but I know I can recover from this. I've had drawdown and evals before and recover from them easily. So yeah, I'll just continue doing what I'm supposed to do, and it'll pay off. All right, y'all. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.